Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM22, and this is Dragons, and it's episode number 9. It's the 11th of September. It's exactly 1 month to the day from where we left off on our last episode, which was at that point a week and a half into the transfer period. Now, in that week and a half, we had already taken a pretty big hit in our ranking after, of course, we had already done all of our business and signed all 4 of our riders for next season. But now, a month on, well, the confirmation, as I suspected, that we would, in fact, get bumped out of Continental Pro status. But we're not far out. We are 38th. We've had no additional level ups at this point. And I feel like there's still a chance we could foreseeably have, somebody rank us up top 3 wise and get back in, because 38th is very close. We're only 3 spots below the cutoff. There's still a month to go in the signing period, so just how bad is the market still looking? Let's check in on that and see what our prospects might be. With a single 5-star 20-year-old prospect left, in Eritrea, of course, not available to us, he can absolutely raise a team, and there's still a good number of 4.5-star talents and a wide array of 4-star prospects out there. So with that, the market can still change quite a bit, which means theoretically we can still fall a fair bit further than we already are. Take a look at the rankings as they stand and see which teams could we overtake or could easily overtake us in the coming month. So far, the standout team, Tudor, is on the way up to the World Tour. Global 6 Cycling looks to be making the jump from Continental all the way to Continental Pro, but as they are in the last spot, you would suspect that there's a good chance that they could get overtaken. But with only one 5-star remaining, top division is not going to change much at this point in time. X, Trek on the way down, Israel Premier Tech on the way down, and as far as they are down the list, fear for them that they are very likely heading to Continental Pro. Pro Touch, second Continental team making a significant jump this season, and right now, outside looking in, Beat, that's a huge Continental Pro team. Baloise Trek Lions, also just above us, and you see just how close we are. I mean, right there. We're looking at, a jump of a 10th or 2 in our average rating. Could and should be enough to make Continental Pro. But like I said, there's still a fair number of riders out there that can transform a top 3 down around our ranking. Not World Tour ranking level, but it could definitely transform, elevate, could pick up. In fact, I'd say anybody 3 stars. Anybody 3 stars could still rise above us pretty easily. So we'll have to give it a little more time and see where we're at. Let's go 2 weeks forward and then check in again and see if we've fallen further, see if we've made any jumps internally, and if we still have some sort of shot at a spot in Continental Pro next season. Pidcock has just won the World Championships ahead of Pogacar and Alaphilippe, and we are 38th. We are still 38th. I have had one change, which was, I believe, Kayama leveling up and hitting 4 stars, but Shu and Hoisinzada are still above him. So no change in the order there. Yamamoto was out injured. That has changed. Actually, you know what? Zhu was below Hoisinzada. So I had seen that we had slipped to 39th and we bounced back to 38th. I believe that is Shu leveling up still as a 4-star guy, but a little bit better than before. He's got a 75, 77 for his sprint now. That's clearly our strength. I mean, 2 of our 3 best guys are sprinters. And 2 of the stars that we're signing for next year are sprinters. And, of course, our first mega potential guy. But our last couple races of the year are coming up here very soon. And for now, anyway, it's not looking so good. But let's see if that market cleared out a little bit. Oh, it's definitely looking better than before. We're actually down to just two 4.5-star guys left. And yes, there is still a fair number of 4-star guys out there on the market, but 4-star guys aren't going to move that needle much at all for anyone. Where 4.5 stars will. I mean, we have two 4.5-star guys and then a trio of 4-star guys behind them. So you can see where that kind of competes to, hey, that's our top three guys right there. So you add that to somebody else, that could be one of their top three guys and, just edge us. But at this point, I don't see us falling much further. So we are either going to be one of the best Continental teams next season, where we were just, starting to inch our way towards the upper end this year, or we're going to do this thing. We've only got a couple weeks to make that part happen. Not looking too likely. But it's happened before. I have had somebody level up literally right at the end, the last 2 days, 3 days before the market closed, and pushed us into World Tour. So it's happened. It's the final 3 days of racing that I'm going to be partaking in this season. Taihu Lake, Stage 1. It's just a prologue. And a -4 for Li Ming Yu is not how we would hope that he could set off and contribute. But okay, that's fine. It looks like you can just about get away and push within 88, but just don't hit the tree in the middle of the road, because every road has a tree right in the middle. Actually, sometimes you do, but that sort of middle, not the middle we just experienced as we approach the finish line and run ourselves out of energy just before the line. But that wasn't going to be a good time anyway. 52 seconds down for Li Ming Yu. He was only a 60 prologue to begin with a -6 today. Yamamoto is obviously the best climber, so for the punchy stage that's going to go along with this race, we would hope he can put in a decent time with his prologue and have a better race day condition than you had. Ouch. Jeez, what a terrible start to this race. -4s for both of our first two riders. And of course, Yamamoto, with a 66 prologue, could have put in something decent. But not now. Not now. This is going to be a bad time. 43 seconds down is all he managed with a much better balanced ride. We've got Mispa, we've got Lahav. Those are both decent punchers. We've got Bagarov. We have Abdul, who's a good prologuer and slightly punchy, so maybe he can put in a decent time here and be in a position to contribute. Mispa, that's not the kind of way we wanted to start this one. He's got the first decent race day condition, by decent +1, meaning we've got a -7 on the day so far. I think rounding the corner here and heading into that final stretch is definitely where you want to use that 88 and get up to speed. Otherwise, the technical nature of the course before that calls for an 87 through that sector. That was a bit better, but still half a minute off the pace for Mispa. He's only a 61 prologuer to begin with, so 64 is just not cutting it. Tom Scoynes is on top of the time charts so far at 6:41. I have good race day condition, but he is definitely not the puncher. Corner, hit that 88, push for the line. 43 seconds down, 2 seconds better than Yamamoto, and that was all about race day condition. He's 10 behind him in terms of prologue rating. All right, here we go. Bagarov, who is a decent puncher and I think is going to suddenly be our favorite, has a +5. And by the way, a lot of these guys have fitness peaks and objectives for this race, as I was targeting this one from the get-go this season. So the race day condition draws we were getting so far were quite awful. And Bagarov's going to put in a good one. 6th place, just 5 seconds down. If we can get him any sort of time bonuses, he can very much compete for that overall. Abdul, another negative race day condition with a -2 for him. Outside of Bagarov's +5, this has just been pretty abysmal stuff. And and he will go 21 seconds down in 25th. Definitely Bagarov has put himself into the de facto leader, even though Yamamoto will probably be the one leading him out. And last up on the day for us is Oscar. Oscar, with 6K to go to the finish line, is only a 61 pro logger, and of course, wouldn't be our day without a negative race day condition. Outside of Bagarov, this was awful. And even Bagarov's 9 seconds down now as Eric Baska goes top of the times charts. I'm adding an extra stage in because time bonuses are going to be important. And the last stage, sprint stage, only had a single time bonus, intermediate sprint wise, but with 4.5K to go, we're already coming up on the first one. We've got 3 guys trying to get into the break. We have 1 guy just here ahead of him, close by, with 4.5K to go, and I've got Abdul chasing. Unfortunately, again, really poor draw. The only rider who has low motivation, issues of not being fully fit for this is Abdul. He's got an expected -2. Everybody else has +1s at the very least because I set objectives for all of them. Abdul was a swap out with an injured rider. Yamamoto started his fitness peak yesterday. He's expected to have a +5 today. He ended up with a +1. Big time negative draw today. But good thing, it really doesn't matter. Oscar could potentially win the stage. But I've got to figure out what it is I want to do with this one. Obviously, Abdul is out front, so we want to get Oscar probably being the one to follow him. He needs to start his sprint. Left-hander here. Oscar pushing for the line, trying to pull Bagarov with him, and we're not even going to get a top 3. Well, that was disappointing. 2 to go. Couldn't even get Oscar in the top 3. That was a decent enough lead out. Oscar, what's up with you? 81.74, and you showed no sign of top speed. I might have still had his sprint turned down low. I know I turned up Abdul's. That could have been what that was. But he was kind of only having a half go at it. Might be the case. But we now have 3 men, 3.5 minutes up the road, and they are not going to be caught very soon. So Abdul, let's get you up front. Not 99, but yeah, tempo up. These guys were 4 minutes away. I'm not sure we're going to be catching them before the next one, which means we're only going to have 1 more chance. I was so taken aback by giving that up that it was like, oh, wait, there's 2 more. And we're supposed to contest these. 5K to go, 2.5 minutes. I don't think we're going to be catching those guys, so we are catching them rapidly. I just don't think we're going to catch them now. Minute 43, minute 37, 7K to go. This is going to be big time effort to make this happen. So let's get Oscar, Bagarov. They are both close. Bagarov tried to sprint because there's no way he's winning the sprint later. Nope. Couldn't even beat Oscar. Oscar on a flat. Bagarov couldn't even out sprint that. Whoa, we're having a rough go of things today, folks. We're showing our weaknesses right now. I'm glad that I find this funny. It's not funny. It's terrible. Gaps back out to 2 minutes. Is anybody even interested in chasing this guy down? Now they start to get it under control. Yes, 43K to go. You get water. Yes, you. Cockity you. That joke was inevitable. It was coming. I'm a little bit punny. Abdul back in place. Let's get you up here protecting Oscar. And then you can protect Bagarov. And we got 28k to go. Back down to a minute for those guys. And first proper sprint train test for one Oscar under normal sprint circumstances. 20k to go. He's fast. He doesn't need the greatest lead out ever, but he still needs a lead out. So we might bypass a couple guys, skip out on a few guys on this one in the setup, and bring it on a little bit closer. Like 10.5k out. Anybody we don't want to use will go to the back. Abdul would have been fine for this. That's what he brought him here for. Prologue and flat rating, but big old negatives. 69 for Lahav might be enough. Yamamoto's going to go to the back behind Oscar. Bagarov is the one we want directly behind Oscar because, you know, he's the only one decent on time. You, not good. We got Lahav. I guess we've got Abdul. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're going to have to push harder than I would think because there isn't a flat rating. Anybody capable of doing a lead out? Oh, Mispa blocks off Abdul instead of properly peeling out of the way. And look, we are not forward. We are not well positioned. Abdul fights through, but Lahav can't. Yamamoto, Oscar are getting eaten up here. So Lahav needs to start his sprint. Get us out in the open. Come on, come on. Okay, Yamamoto. Up to you. You've got some acceleration. And Oscar from 1k out with a little bit burnt energy should be making his way forward for a top 3. Wellsford takes the win. Oscar gets 4 seconds. That's on the lead out. Nobody with good enough flat rating to get him in position. He's fighting from too far back. Fast enough to actually out sprint some guys. But not a good enough lead out. And then who do you follow if you just want to follow? There isn't an obvious candidate to use them and piggyback them to get in there. I mean, if we dug through, maybe we find somebody. There's still one stage left here. Let's see what we can do. With a -10 combined race day condition for Yamamoto over just 3 stages. Today he was only expected to have a +3, but again, a +1 for him. And like I said, that's a total of -10 in just 3 stages. We have no luck here in this race. Let's hope the Japan Cup goes a little bit better. I'm not liking our chances today. Stout Meta is here again. And the favorite, he rides for a Japanese team and is quite strong compared to anybody and everybody else. As we approach the climb, we're not the type of team to necessarily be in the best position for this, but our only chance at winning the overall is to win and win big. So we're going to have to be much more aggressive than what I would normally be to have any chance. Losing it means nothing. Finishing second or third means nothing for what we're trying to achieve. A win overall may achieve something. Therefore, I'm going to be ultra aggressive and probably fail miserably in doing so, but it's the only plan I've got. Let me know if there's a better plan. Conserve, ride normally. It's not going to do the trick. Now remember, we are up against some weaker competition that already managed to split the field on its own. Just 70 riders left in the peloton. The others are close behind, but they've not been able to close that gap that formed. And Abdul gets us just to the base of the climb, and we move on to Liming Yu. 14k to go. Overall, it's a 14.7 kilometer climb, but it's just 5% And I'm definitely aiming to be aggressive. You can see that not only have I dropped a couple of riders, but we have opened up a much healthier gap to those behind. But for a moment anyway, we're going to let Li Mingyu do his thing, and then we'll move on to Oscar. Dropped off 6 more riders, and you're seeing some aggression from some of these guys. So let's go ahead and get Oscar up there and do his thing as Li Mingyu. It's down to 57 riders. We got it started. Others are picking up the mantle on this and trying to escape. But now they're all doing it solo, so Oscar is covering it off and hopefully setting us up nicely as we're down to 10k to go. That was one of the steeper sectors. It's going to ease off for just a little bit, but then it's going to come back and ramp up again after we go around this next left-hander. And we are down to 52 riders, and Oscar out of red bar, but he's still got something left in the tank. 8k to go. I'm wondering if I should wait and counter the next one, but again, the push, the aggression is to set this up as best we can. Down to 45. I think we're going to round this corner and have a go with Le Havre. Yep, here comes the next group. So it's on again. So we counter that. So far this is working out well. Put those guys on auto. Oscar losing contact. And we're down to 38 now.
5 kilometers to the finish line.
And Oscar actually helped break toe there for a moment. Le Havre's out of red bar. And we're seeing Tom Scoins on the attack with 5k to go. Mispa's going to take over here shortly. Not much left in the tank for these guys. Not much. So Le Havre, keep pushing, keep pushing. Okay, his heart rate's starting to drop. That's it. He's on his limit. 4.5k to go. Mispa takes over. Scoins is on his limit as well. Bagarov's not going to make it. Down to 22 riders. And it's going to take a big ol'... It's going to take a big ol' attack, and I don't think this is going to do it. Bagarov, can you give anything? Yes, you can. He gave us about 10 meters. He gave us about 10 meters. I feel like Yamamoto's going to have to sit on. He's not going to make it 3k like that. Steepest part right here. You attack, you're done instantly. And he's only got 74 stamina. Now, if he had the +4, +3, he'd be good. Let's follow Smith. $20 riders left in the peloton. And Yamamoto now gets through that steepest part. And you can see just how low that energy is. He's nearly done. Down to 13 riders, though. But again, it's not happening on the win thing today. Somebody's got energy left, and it's not Yamamoto. 1k. Smith, Scoins, Yamamoto. He is fading right as he goes over the top. He's going to finish 5th or 6th on the stage. Make that 6th. Dion Smith takes the win. Yamamoto grabs 6th down minute. Only 8th for him. Disappointing day for him, more so than us, as he was the heavy favorite. Bagarov gets 16th. Our position in the overall GC is going to definitely not be first. Yamamoto climbs into the top 10 with that performance. Bagarov slips to 16th, but that's certainly no win, no boost. Nothing helpful necessarily for us. This year's Japan Cup is one climb on repeat again and again, and it's not an easy climb, even though it is relatively short. There's not much of a recovery period in between. So we've got 4 more cycles to go, plus part way up to determine the winner on this one, and more we are having to kind of ramp up our effort. You can see Sean Sock is just about done. He's going to get dropped in a moment. Taminaga is going to get dropped here rather soon as well. And let's see. Sock's still here. All right, up the effort again. Try to go quick. I know I'm getting kind of long on the time for this episode here as we are continuing forward. Last 8 riders in the break and last 49 in the peloton. You can see instantly you got like 5 more guys out the back, starting with Sock. And where is Mispa? Mispa, go ahead and protect Yamamoto. We're up to 84 on the effort for these guys, and the front group splits off, and we very quickly pull back a few more.
Very tough portion with percentages above 10%.
We're down to a front 2 with 3 in between, and now 35 in the peloton. Taminaga held on. Last 2 climbs proper coming up, and it's definitely time to put the foot down. Okay, that's Oscar going back. That's just tempo. That wasn't an attack. And Oscar and Taminaga both get dropped. And we're down to 25, 24. One rider, one single solitary rider left at the front. And one more time up the climb. We've got 4 guys for our sprint train for that. And this is definitely the type of climb that you do want to use that sprint train on. Now 23, 22 riders still getting dropped left and right that are just out of energy as one rider pushes the tempo at the front and chases down the leader. That was not the leader, that was somebody getting lapped. But I do believe that the leader is probably just right up here. Mifsud, maybe? Alright, here we go. It's time. It's time, folks. Let's see what we can do. The race day condition is much better. Yamamoto still gets a -1 today. Still. Today was a +5 expected. A double objective for these guys. Quite a few of the same riders, but not all. He's decently punchy. This is gonna take a lot out of the legs of anyone remaining as we go up the climb. We caught the front guy. Okay, so we've got 11 riding it out. I've got 3 of them. I'd love Bagarov to get back in position if he can. Front 9 now as 2 riders get dropped. Just don't have enough energy left to hang on. And there we go. So Bagarov with a little something left in the tank. Also 4.7. So Bagarov's going to go forward. And Lahav's going to follow him instead. And then Lahav will be our lead out man. And that's going to allow us to keep this tempo all the way to the finish line, which is very good because that's 0 recovery for these other guys. Okay, they are starting to attack. Scoins. There's Smith again. Same guys. Following the same pattern. 1.6. Lahav is sprinting his version of a sprint. And Yamamoto going a little bit later, but will it pay off for him? Those guys are sitting up. That's what I was counting on. Yamamoto, though, is not going to catch him. The red bar runs out timing-wise for a sprint. It was the right time. It's down minute, though. Yamamoto gets 4th. Just misses a podium. Just misses winning this race 2 years in a row. He's good, but he's not quite there. I think we had the +5 last year and came oh so close. This year that was 3 strong guys just going for it a little bit earlier. If we try to go with them, I don't think we're winning it either way. Yamamoto's not a sprinter, so not well suited. We tried to break that field up on the climb, and we certainly broke it down to the last few guys. But 4th, 7th, and 9th is still a decent result for us. I'd love to have claimed the win, but that's okay. I do not have time to go over some season results. We are out of time for this one, so we'll just wrap this up there. But that's 3 seasons in the books, folks. 4 big signings coming for next year. We're going to have our first round of expiring contracts from that first group, and some of them are good enough to hang on to, but that first group was the weakest we had. So that group going away and getting replaced by some good riders. We probably won't sign quite as many come next season, but that will help with the finances. And man, oh man, do I hope that we do wind up with a sponsor. a new sponsor because we are about to cap out our current one. Almost forgot this incredibly important note. We are not getting promoted. Nobody leveled up in the way we needed them to, so we remained in 38th. We are just 3 spots. We are the 3rd best Continental team now on paper entering next season. Surely we will get what is necessary next year. I knew it was going to be iffy for this year. I was hoping for more. I was hoping for better. We hit those 2 4.5-star guys like right at the start of the season, but couldn't do extra, couldn't do more. We had 1 4-star guy at the beginning of the season. We ended up with 3, and one of those 3 had leveled up a second time, but that didn't quite do it. It wasn't enough. We needed the 1 more 4.5-star guy, and next season, surely we'll have it. Surely we'll have it next season, but we're gonna have to sit 1 more year in Continental, which does mean 1 more quick season, another 3 to 4 episode type season before things start to slow down a little bit in Continental Pro, especially for any World Tour races, which I would assume with a low profile, we're probably not going to get too many World Tour races on that first calendar, and not for a while, but we would certainly race each and every one of them and do what we can. But we're struggling right now in the Continental Pro levels. Let me rephrase that. We're not struggling. We're not dominating. We're not quite winning. We're just about there competitively, but certainly not on top. Biggest moves: Vanderpool to Bike Exchange, Vingegaard to Alpecin Fenix, Moss, Grunewagen, Jakobsen all moving on to new team. And since I'm here, Ineos on top of World Tour rankings, right at the end actually. Bardiani on top of Continental, and we did finish in the top 10 with 30th overall in the Super Prestige. That's pretty dang good for such a small team, and for only participating in a couple races along the way. Even though we only scored 100 points more than last season, it was still a good showing for us. As you can see, we had a lot more wins. Yamamoto was 13th overall in the Continental rankings. Oscar into the top 100 himself. I thought Oscar would do a little bit more, but I think with the new faces we have coming in, our sprint team's going to be better. We just saw kind of what happens when it comes to Oscar when he doesn't have a lead out, and he doesn't have the flat, he doesn't have the stamina. He's not the right guy, but he could be a fantastic lead out rider for either of the new incoming guys, but I don't know if they're quite on the level they need to be on just yet. So see how things develop over the next season or two. But either way, 4 victories for Yamamoto. A lot of these were not national team victories. These were victories in actual races a lot of the time, more than half of them anyway. But that does do it for this season. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.